The second event we attended was a screening and discussion of the movie Gasland. Here, we learned that this topic raises concern not only to the protest group, but to our own community as well.
Okay, guys, it's a Saturday night, and we're here at the
Frick Fine Arts Building at the University of Pittsburgh.
yes, and we're here to view a public screening of the movie Gasland. So we're walking in now. Regina's
Follow
in her
us.
Sunday's best.
Woohoo! Oh, I'm excited.
Look, they have a sign out here. What does it say?
Let's read it. Don't frack with Pittsburgh.
No, that's a little risque. Don't you
Ooh,
think?
free food.
Perfect.
I guess that's the free food.
Oh, let's see if there's any left. My gosh, these are some greedy people.
Any pizza? Aw, come on.
Crap. Oh.
At least we can get a drink. Guess we're a little late. Oh well.
The rigs were burning diesel, some of them 800 gallons a day. But that wasn't all. There was something coming off the condensate hydrocarbons. Okay, name, Vince?
Okay, so we're going to start and we're going to let everybody just introduce themselves. Go ahead, guys. David?
I'm David. I'm with MarcellusProtest.org. I'm Fabian, similarly with MarcellusProtest.org and student in Pittsburgh.
I'm Seth Bush. I'm a junior here at Pitt, and I am a member of the Pittsburgh Student Environmental Coalition.
My name is Jean McMullen, and I live in Lincoln Place, which is an area of the city where they have already signed leases along my house. I'm with MarcellusProtest.org.
My name's Alex Latordo. I'm also with MarcellusProtest.org, and I'm originally from Northeast Pennsylvania. Some of the footage in the film along the Delaware Rivers, the place where I come from in Pike County, Pennsylvania. And I'm with Pittsburgh, and I got involved with these folks, and we're having a wonderful time, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, just to open it up, does anybody have any comment they want to make before we begin? Any comment, reaction to the film, something maybe you didn't know, something that struck you, any question you had?
I just had a quick question. I had attended a Casey hearing about the Marcellus Shale going on, and I worked for Clean Water Action for a brief moment in time. But what I had heard at this trial was that the woman that was there speaking that was affected by, her and her husband were affected by the Marcellus Shale. She said that she protested it, said no, and if there could be a certain percentage of your area that can accept, if they accept it, it doesn't matter what you have to say. Is that true? And what is that percentage?
I can take that. There is, currently, the law is they could just take it. There is legislation that is up in Harrisburg called forced pooling, and one of the lawmakers tacked it on to the severance tax. The industry basically is telling Harrisburg how to run the show, and so somebody came out with a severance tax bill, and an opposing lawmaker came out with another severance tax bill and tacked on this forced pooling. So when you're calling a lawmaker to say we want a severance tax, you want to make sure that you specify and say we don't want the forced pooling. But what that is if a percentage of the residents in the neighborhood sign a lease, and what that percentage is what is under debate. I mean, we are being told by our lawmakers, particularly the senators, that there is not going to be a severance tax passed without the forced pooling, and that's because the Republicans have the majority, and yes, you will be forced into a lease.
If I could just add on to that too. There are competing bills regarding the severance tax of how to do it, how to structure it, forced pooling, not forced pooling, how much goes into the general fund versus how much goes to local municipalities. There was some of the legislation was worded to include forced pooling. There was another bill that was introduced that dropped that, and that was actually the one that did pass the House of Representatives, and then died on the Senate floor did not include forced pooling, is my understanding. But that it's kind of a moot point now because it fell on the Senate floor and has completely, they didn't take it up, and it's not going to be voted on before the next, whoever gets elected, they're not going to vote on it right now anyway until next year. They're not going to take it up for debate. So it is a measure that is in place in most other states. That if I think the general standard is if 60% of the area or your neighbors and residents sign leases, then the remaining 40% are forced into this pool to get the gas out from underneath them, whether they are holding on to it or refusing to sign or not.
So there is legislation on the floor, hopefully, to try and change that, or
yes,
to amend that bill.
To amend that bill, but the danger is that it is going to fall to a very small group of politicians, so it's extremely critical to start to get informed and start to get educated and start to get involved and to be able to call our legislators and let them know that that's not acceptable can be extremely helpful no matter who is elected in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Give a little history on that. When the industry came to the Marcellus Shale region, they divided up.
She is from Lincoln Place, as she said, which is, if you don't know where that is, it's near Homestead, Western Midland, in that area. So we just wanted to, I wanted to give her the opportunity, as someone who is living this on a day-to-day basis, who is fighting this from coming into her neighborhood and affecting her family. I wanted to give her the opportunity just to share her reflection. So go ahead, Jean.
Thank you. Natural gas surface leases have been signed nearby, all around my house, including yards away from a neighborhood K-8 public school, in Hayes Woods, the Allegheny County Airport, and at least 3 other surface sites, all within a mile, 2 miles of my home. In the spring of 2009, Lincoln Place became under siege by Dale Property Services, who were knocking on doors of a mostly senior citizen population and signing leases with nothing more than a 5-minute sales pitch, false promises, and a smile, and thus changing the future of our quiet community forever. Since then, I've done extensive research and talked to residents of drilling communities, university scientists, and attorneys. I would like to read to you excerpts of an email received recently from a resident in Hickory. I'm going to need a doctor. We are getting ready to leave again tonight. Just called DEP emergency line. Trucks from both companies went rushing back to the compressor and the plant. Smells like kerosene and chemicals. We will see how many days it takes for the DEP to respond. Looks like tomorrow will be another ugly legal day. I hate these freaking frackers. They're all out of here now. Did they evacuate us on their way out? Hell no. It's going to be another long night at ground zero. Since drilling began in the rural community, this family, including their 2 young children, suffer from constant headaches, sore throats and dizziness, frequent nosebleeds, and more. They complain to their lawmakers and to the media, but no one will listen. Attorneys say either they cannot take on these industry giants, or in the case of large law firms, that they are already on a retainer and cannot take on a plaintiff. It's the first thing these people do, and the industry does when they come into a region. They put all the major toxic tort firms on retainer, so they can't take on a plaintiff. A resident of Bedford County wrote, during the month of August, I had 4 trips to the ER of UPNC. On each trip, high levels of gas were found in my bloodstream. The doctors all told me not to return home because the environment was killing me. The DEP took gas readings several days later, but after a wait of more than 2 months for the results said the readings must have been wrong and the gas levels at home were surely normal. Her property is not near a well. Columbia Gas used eminent domain to take this woman's property through the courts to use it for a storage facility for natural gas. She now gets $2 an acre a year, $250 a year. Her home vibrates regularly and smells of gas. Because she cannot afford to move, she now wears a gas mask to watch TV and to sleep. I urge you to take a drive out to Hickory. Residents are eager to show you around and be heard, to know that their mistakes will not be in vain. Residents complain of chemical burns from the municipal tap water, neuropathies, and lung damage. Some have mysterious symptoms that the local doctors have never seen before and are at a loss to treat. I consider what has happened to these individuals as tragic. Our lawmakers consider them the cost of doing business. The industry considers them inconsequential. The DEP has largely ignored their pleas for help with low salaries and budget cuts. Residents report that field agents have accepted lucrative job offers in exchange for not reporting the violations. Field samples that had been taken are now missing from these residents' files. If this isn't your problem yet, farmers in Washington County are losing livestock in great numbers. Some report an increase in stillborns and animals with birth defects. Animals drink from the frack pond and from the puddles in the contaminated soil following heavy rains. One toxicology report from a dead cow revealed arsenic poisoning, but the farmer was so disgusted with the DEP that he threatened to take his meat to market anyway. On some days, the smell of formaldehyde in the air is so strong. The cows look like they're going to fall over, and the farmers are milking them anyway. More than once, a condensate tank blew out from an oily substance all over the area. The company went door to door warning them not to eat the vegetables from their garden. These are our farmers. Their produce is on your table. And now that the industry is claiming that all of their water is recycled, let's explain what that means if you're living next to an impoundment. Every time they reuse the water to frack, the chemicals and heavy metals become more heavily concentrated. The water smells like raw sewage, kerosene, and rotten eggs. Your throat and eyes burn. Wildlife stop for a drink and drop dead on the spot. The industry installs misters to hasten the evaporation of chemicals into the air. Regardless, many residents still witness tankers dumping wastewater directly into our rivers and streams. Still, Union leader James Coons told a panel recently that when he visits well sites, 80% of the workforce is from Texas, Mexico, and points further south. The industry tells local applicants that they travel with their own crew, and the industry loves to cite numbers of all the jobs that they've created. Yet the studies are all industry-sponsored with skewed numbers. For example, when you've got 200 men on a well pad, let's just say they do 10 wells, takes about a year to frack those wells, those migrant workers then go on and destroy a new community, a new neighborhood. After about a year, they go on to a third neighborhood and destroy that. The same migrant workers, the same 200 workers, the industry counts them as 600 workers. That's not my math. Many of these so-called created jobs that they're counting are in the service industry, in the area hotels and restaurants. Yet many of these employees were already working in these same jobs before the industry came to town. And not counted in these studies are the jobs lost, as in fields such as in tourism and agriculture. This is an industry that takes more from the community than it gives back. The destruction of roads, the gridlocking of traffic, the driving out of many local businesses and other industries, and the increased demands to public safety workers all drain the municipality. Yet municipalities are not permitted to tax the industry, nor do they collect income tax from the largely out-of-state migrant workforce. Property values take a nosedive and residents flee. The city of Arlington, Texas, which we heard tonight has thousands of natural gas wells,